morning. How are you doing, lovely people? Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is WalkActive Mind Talk, and it's the first of our live chats to really enhance your physical and mental well-being with myself, Joanna, the creator and founder of WalkActive, and I'm delighted to be joined with my co-host, Dr. Nicola Tweedie, clinical psychologist. Nikki, hello, how are you doing?
I'm good. It's so fabulous to be able to hear you and see you and to be able to begin this. So I'm just jolly pleased that we're finally at the stage where we can share some of these thoughts that we've been talking about and weaving together for a couple of weeks now, maybe even more than that.
A couple of weeks, but also we've actually had quite an eventful evening to get to this point here. So if you've actually been watching our dramas, whilst we're meant to be talking about physical mental well-being, for us to actually get to this point to produce and give you our first live chat, it's actually been slightly mentally disturbing, I have to say. Anyway, first we just have to prefix that and say thank you so much to everybody who has been patient through the dramas that we had trying to get this going through Facebook. But anyway, we're back, we are resilient, and we will not be defeated. So we are recording this on Zoom. So thank you so much for your patience on that. Now, on that note, we're really excited. We've been talking about this, haven't we, for a couple of weeks, Nikki? And we're actually, our first episode is Beginnings and Endings, the Rhythm of Life. So it may sound a little bit bizarre to actually start at the ending, but there's a real importance about that whole concept, isn't there? Do you want to kick off the conversation for us?
Yeah, so we were thinking a little bit about lockdown and about what it's been like for people to make very different choices and to participate in something that's a global phenomenon, and with our hearts and our minds to do the best we can to keep everybody safe. And you and I were talking about how hard that can be and how tiring it can be, and we were thinking about the changes that are coming tomorrow, and that maybe it might be a good idea to think about marking that change, even if you don't intend to change very much about your behavior, or you don't have particular plans for tomorrow yet, that there might be a way in which you could actively and physically mark a bit of a change. Because what we know about endings is they allow us to rest a little bit and to reflect, don't they? They allow us to kind of look back and to think about how things have been. And you and I talked about how difficult that is, but how we might be encouraging people to think, perhaps even in their daily walk, or the way that they're active tomorrow or over the weekend, to just mark and reflect and think about how it's been for them over the last few weeks. And also we were thinking a little bit about how, when we start relationships, we often think about how things have been in the past. And you and I were starting to think about this, and we were talking about things that we've done in the past. It's a very natural way, isn't it, to begin things?
It is, and I think what's quite interesting is that lots of people have found when we went into like the hard lockdown, you kind of knew exactly where you were, but now as we're sort of easing out of it, there's this sort of ebb and flow, which is actually almost a little bit elusive. So it doesn't really allow us to have that concept of an ending and that specific demarcation point and then move forward. And I think speaking to lots of clients and friends and family, actually feel more unnerved in some respects now than actually when we had a very clear demarcation about where we were. It was a very clear beginning, March the 23rd, and we didn't know quite how long it was going, but it was a very clear beginning. And in essence, now we're moving into a new phase of lockdown, because we're actually filming this in real time. It's July the 3rd, and obviously there's going to be a difference, isn't there? We're on July the 24th. But there isn't a real sort of clear beginning of actually what that means, and a clear ending of what this means as of tonight finishing. And I think that's what creates that, for people on a personal level, perhaps it's uncertainty. And I'm just interested about how you would advise people within a professional capacity within that sense.
Yeah, and I think, one of the things that I love about WalkActive is everybody walks, or many people are able to walk, or have been able to walk, and some of the things that you share, and you really helpfully took a look at my walking last weekend, and it was so changing to just have you really enable me to focus on my posture, to really think differently about the emphasis of each stride, and to place a kind of focus on moving in a different way. And I think I try in a similar way. We all think, we all feel, we all behave and react, we all have beliefs. There are little things that you can do, little slight changes in focus, or different ways that you might notice things that I hope are helpful. And I would say that maybe this weekend, if there's time, it is a moment to think about what you've given and what you've achieved over the last few weeks and how it's been. And for some people, it might be just the best way to do that by taking a walk, or a socially distanced walk with a friend. And it might be, listening in to some of the fantastic walks that you offer, that you walk and people can walk with you. It might be by writing, it might be by being mindful or meditating, it might be in conversation with a friend. I think it's really important to create a sort of a space to look back and to say, haven't I contributed? Haven't I done well? Mm-hmm. And often I think we can go on and on, whether it's in our relationships or at work, or with our kind of our physical activity. And I think that, I guess we're going to do some things as a family, and gosh, certainly in the NHS we're doing things very differently now because of the circumstances under COVID. And I don't think we'd have reviewed or done any of those things differently if we hadn't had this experience of not doing them for a period of time. So yeah, I'd really encourage people to pause and reflect in some way.
It's really interesting, isn't it, that you mentioned about of the changes. And I often use this analogy with clients, sort of thinking about their approach to fitness and well-being. And just as sort of an aside, you think about January and post-Christmas, and everybody's like, oh, January the 1st, and big diet, and oh my God, I'm going to run hatches, here we go. Yeah. And you know what, I just think that is just the worst time, because you've had a really great Christmas, and of course Christmas is about relaxing and enjoying and sharing and all these really, really lovely things. And, if you are spending Christmas in the winter months in the colder climate, we tend to be sort of all duffled up, and, our posture's a bit on this because you don't want drafts. And so to actually then think, okay, I'm going to get really fit and it's very stringent and hard, I just think that's completely the wrong way about it. And I actually think that just as you might open up the cupboards of your clothes wardrobe, and you might have different clothes for different seasons, I actually think you need to approach your mindset to your fitness and your activity on a seasonal basis. So there's an ebb and a flow. And I think January almost has to be a theme, rather than like, okay, cut the weight and lose the weight, which is often how media portray it. It actually needs to be, let's just connect positively with our posture, because inevitably you've been watching box sets, it's like, maybe like this, eating in our house, definitely a big tin of Quality Street, that kind of thing, and so to suddenly go from this kind of mindset of being kind of horizontal, like, yeah, come on, it's just too much. And I just think we need to be nice to us. So it's a kind of a thing, there has to be a phase and a natural rhythm to it. And I think January should be a better posture month, and then it might be February that I think, I'm feeling more connected with my body, I feel like I've enhanced my body awareness, I'm kind of a bit more switched onto it mentally, and then you can ease more into sort of like, okay, having more of a focus maybe on improving cardiovascular fitness, because I think everybody thinks things very much black and white. I'm fit, I'm not fit, I exercise, I don't exercise, I'm mentally well, I'm not mentally well. Or we tend not to sort of, as you say, give ourselves time to really think about that. So on the point, I think I feel very strongly that January should not be a month when it's like battle down the hatches. I think January should be a month when we're kind to ourselves and actually reconnect with our posture. And I really think that theme, and to look at your fitness and your well-being, your physical well-being, as you would do your wardrobe. So it's not always the same. It's not always a flatlining, and you actually have an ebb and a flow. And then you can appreciate the change, and you also can make an informed decision if you may think, right, this is a month and I'm really going to do X, but in actual fact, circumstances in your life don't allow you to do that. And to fundamentally challenge the way that we think about exercise, I think, is long overdue. And I think what's been quite interesting about lockdown is it has encouraged people to get out and walk more and to enjoy their countryside and to be more aware of their environments. And, you know, if people are listening to this may live in a whole variety of, you know, urban environments, city environments, you know, by the coast, by the countryside, but even just to be more aware of actually the physical surroundings we have so that we're much more present, I think is incredibly powerful. Something that, you know, hopefully I think, you know, it would be really great if people were able to take that. We've, and myself included, able to take that forward.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that, you know, so many people feel afraid or anxious or inadequate in, you know, going to gyms or going to fitness classes, or they feel that they won't be able to do it, or maybe they can't afford it, or they just don't have the time, or their many commitments mean that they, you know, it feels really impossible. And my hope is that, you know, through lockdown, more people will have found walking and will have been outside and connected with their, you know, their environment locally. And that there's such a beautiful rhythm about walking, and that, you know, that stimulation, that bipedal stimulation, is so important for helping us process things. You know, there's a reason why we like to go and walk it off, or you know, sometimes when people are feeling high levels of frustration, they just think, oh, I've just got to get out. You know, that very gentle rhythmical process, and especially when you're, you know, really mindfully paying attention to your posture, and you're thinking really carefully about each step, you know, that can take you into a place where you can actually become quite creative, and where you're able to think through and solve problems in a new way. Because what we know about emotions, especially very strong emotions, when we're feeling them very intensely, is that if we can just bear with that for a little bit, it will, exactly as you say, it will ebb and flow. So if you're feeling very stressed or very upset, or even very numb, if you're feeling very cut off, going for a walk can be incredibly helpful in just neutralizing those feelings, whether you're very kind of highly activated or you feel that you're a bit zoned out. Just going for a walk, you know, 10, 15, 20 minutes can really help push you back into that window where you're more able to think, you're more able to respond. And I think programs like yours, where you're really inviting people to think, you know, about the thing that they do all the time, but to think about doing that in a really, giving it a level of significance or importance. And that can help you feel in control. It can help you feel, you know, as if you've achieved something. So, you know, I think all these things are really, really helpful. And I guess from a professional point of view, you know, it also helps with sleep, it helps with digestion. There's so many ways in which learning to be more active and being kind to yourself, gosh, yes, that January thing, or the Monday, after my birthday, on the 1st of, you know, July, after this weekend. And actually what we need to do is we need to push at an open door. We need to find those things that kind of intuitively feel comfortable, and then grow those, rather than thinking, you know, when I feel better, or when I've got more time, or when I've got more money, then I'll do X, and that will help me feel better or more in control. We need to just start where we are and move forward from there.
But that can be really hard, to just start where you are. And one thing I think I've sort of found very humbling with WalkActive, humbling, but also sort of maybe amusing, in that, you know, people often say to me, why do you need to be taught how to walk? But actually, once you start to connect with that,
yes, I did.
Why do you need to be taught how to walk? Of course I know how to. You know, we're all 21. I think you'd be pretty good at it. But if I said to you, right, Nikki, you know, because you're a fantastic yachtswoman, or, you know, sailor, or rower, you know, if I said to you, okay, you need to get better at rowing, or I want to get better, you totally appreciate there's skill, there's motor skills involved in it, there's technique, and you would listen from an expert and you would take on board how to improve that technique. Same with tennis serve, same with a golf drive. You want to get better, you appreciate the individual breakdown of the motor skills. But actually we tend to neglect the foundation of all our movement patterns, which is how we put one foot in front of the other. And the reality of that walking for the vast majority of us, is going to be the easiest and most simplest and accessible and longest standing form of activity that we will be able to do right through our lives on two legs. And so why wouldn't you want to do it to the best of your ability?
And you don't even have to get dressed. You can do it in a suit. You can do it, you know, in between other things.
Yeah. And I think when I start to sort of teach people, it's like, oh my God. And that's, for me, that's what's so joyful. It's actually the positive connection of enabling someone to feel that there's a real tangible improvement in their movement quality. And what's interesting is I've actually had quite a few sort of Chinese doctors do this. And as you know, when you exercise, you have the releasing of the qi. So with WalkActive, which has been scientifically validated to improve your posture, what's been quite interesting, what their take on it when they've done it, in the terms of actually how it makes you feel good, is that because you're walking with complete posture alignment with every single step, the chi is released, and instead of it hitting a bit of a blockage because maybe your body's slightly knotted and not completely aligned, the chi is actually continually moving around the body and flowing and flushing through it to create that sort of feel good factor. So I've had several Chinese doctors who mentioned that to me quite separately within their capacity, and I think that's quite interesting. And so many people say it does make you feel that it creates a movement pattern that's much more smooth and fluid, and that's very enabling. And when you move well, you feel well. I'm such a big believer of that.
Yeah. And you're journeying also. You know, when you walk, you're moving through your environment. It may be somewhere that's very familiar to you. You know, I would encourage people to really think about where they want to walk. You know, do you want to go and visit places that are really significant to you, that have beautiful, important memories? Or do you want to access that place if that's a place you can't walk right now? You know, can you listen to a song, or can you listen to a podcast, or can you talk to somebody who takes you back to that really important place, and, you know, go through that journey of being in places and spaces that are significant to you? Because we can use all of these things to help lift our mood or to help calm us down. You know, if you're feeling very stressed, or you're feeling that, you know, in some way something that feels too intense, you know, we can use walking as a way of adjusting and realigning. And, you know, I think we can also walk with other people. You know, it's been, scientifically proven, when you walk with other people, you breathe together, it lowers your blood pressure. You know, even if you're walking in quite a powerful way, or you're intending to raise your heart rate, it also reduces your stress hormones. So, you know, listening to you as you walk, or, you know, actually walking with you or with other people, obviously at a safe distance, it's just a really lovely, easy, gentle thing to do. And you know, I think that beginning and the end of that walk, you know, I try and tell people to get their daily dose. So, you know, their dose of dopamine and oxytocin and serotonin and endorphins. And when we take activity, you know, seriously and purposefully, we're not just, you know, going somewhere to buy something, or, you know, I mean, even if you're you know, you might want to walk to the shops, you're releasing all those beautiful neurochemicals that are bathing your brain in ways that will increase your happiness and your sense of purpose. So I think it's really important.
Definitely. So I think the rhythm that, and I talk about this, when it feels good, there's a rhythm to it. There's a rhythm. So you have that internal rhythm when you're actually having good movement quality, so you're using the right muscles in the right way at the right time. But I also think there's another interesting concept about rhythm, is that the rhythm of your day, of when you actually take time to invest in your personal well-being, whether that is being nice to yourself, whether that's sort of having some time to be mindful, or, you know, to actually invest in your physical activity, but actually having time when you actually do that. And one thing that I've noticed is it's whether that exercise becomes a pressure or whether it's a pleasure. And I've seen it over the years that actually when you get it done early in the morning, it's a pleasure. But actually, if that same exercise gets left to the end of the day, sometimes it becomes more of a pressure, because the day gathers its natural rhythm, and then you might think, I've got to get this done, I've got to get this done. So the same action, which may have been done in the morning and could be a pleasurable activity, could actually be done in the evening. And because there's so many other things and the day gathers its momentum, doesn't necessarily have quite the same benefit, possibly, but yet once you get out the door, it has these immense benefits, but sometimes those barriers can be really, really quite challenging. And I've definitely noticed that with clients over the years. So I talk about that, is it a pleasure or is it a pressure? And knowing your own body clock and your own sort of mindset about it, to tap into the rhythm of the day that actually works with you rather than actually working against you. So yes, you get these sort of acute health benefits of actually physically going out and doing your walk, specifically with active, but actually trying to actually expand that so that you work with your mindset and your lifestyle as well.
And I would really agree with you. Yes, I do row, and some of our rowing is at night, and it's incredible
as well. You're very, very modest because you're really rather good at it.
With some of our rowing is at night, and it is a really magical time. Sometimes there's phosphorescence on the water, the lights from the surrounding towns. And the other night I went out for an evening barefoot walk. So I really purposefully took my shoes off in a safe space. It was a mindful walk. So, I think you're so right to talk about rhythms, because, for women who are still menstruating, it's really important to really notice how your body is and to adjust your activity. So, it might be that there's a monthly rhythm, also about the way that you take activity, through your day. And yes, absolutely, some people really respond better in the morning, some in the afternoon. If you take medication, it may be that there are times when you're more likely to benefit from activity. But if you're having difficulty with sleep, yes, absolutely, get outside in the morning. You get expose yourself to that bright sunshine as soon as you can. You can use it in so many different ways. And I think particularly for people who are starting to think about being active, it's okay, whatever your reason, and whatever the things that have got in the way of being active. And one of the things that can prolong that is shame or guilt, and an internal voice that says, well, you didn't do that yesterday, you still haven't done it, it's 6 o'clock, you won't get it done. And sometimes buddying up, even buddying up virtually. So just thinking to yourself, yeah, I can buddy up with Jo, I can listen to her, and she can go with me as I'm on my walk. Or listening in. It's okay. Listening in. Listening in to other people, or joining with a buddy who could, just help you. Say, come on, let's go, or have you been today? Finding a virtual group that you can check in with, it makes such a difference. And to be able to celebrate that success, if it is a big thing for you to start being active,
the celebration is just so amazing.
Find a community, and it's get yourself a group.
Exactly, we don't celebrate enough, and it needs to be like, and one thing that, bringing the whole WalkActive, system online now with our Get Started with WalkActive online program and the different programs digitally, the virtual community, and I've always found this, that the joy comes in people celebrating that when you move well, people can see that you move well, and it doesn't matter what age you are, what phase of life you are, what stage of life you are, what level of fitness, because everybody can move better. And that's really powerful. It's really enabling for you as an individual. It's really exciting. And sometimes as we go through life, sometimes we don't get that much excitement. So if you can actually get that excitement of really connecting with how well your body moves, and that feels great, that is really strong stuff. And I get a real buzz out of that. So I love that. I really love that.
And I would say that there are phases before we commit to doing something. So it's okay to be part of a group and just watch. Some of us, I'm a really visual learner, so it really helps me to watch people. It's okay, just join a group, or when we're in lighter times and things are even safer than they they are right now, and you can maybe be part of a group. It's okay not to be at the front of the pack. It's okay not to necessarily be able to join in with all the activity. That phase, as you start to make a decision, when you're kind of contemplating it, that's a really important phase. That's not good enough. That's the precursor to actually starting. So it's important to celebrate that phase, to think, yeah, maybe I'm nearly ready. I'm really thinking about this now.
You hit on such an important point there. Often people perceive that as a negative thing, or no, I'm not too sure, but actual fact, it's like, you are there, baby. You're there, and that's a really big thing to take.
And it's part of that ending, yes. That reflecting on, yes, I'm sort of, I'm between stages, I'm sort of ready. Maybe I've tried a few things and it hasn't quite worked, and that it is such an important phase, and not to be unkind to yourself in those moments, but to just really listen into those maybe small imaginations or little visions or dreams that you start having about, I could do that, or I could feel stronger, or I could feel more flexible, or I might be able to play with my children more, or I might be able to play with my grandchildren more, I might be able to get on a bicycle again, whatever it is. Those are such special moments, and that it's really important that you're kind to yourself, because that's part of that ending before you start your new beginning. That contemplative phase is really, really important.
And that concept of growing, that you never stop growing. Ability to be playful and learn and exploratory and be curious, I think is really, it's really interesting. So it seems I like this idea that actually if you're in that buffer of feeling uncertain, actually that can be quite a good place to be.
Brilliant. Yes, uncertainty is so important, and we've been through so much of it in the last few weeks. We've been given a massive dose of it. So celebrate your ability to be with all this uncertainty, and think, what else can I be uncertain about? What might just be the first part of letting go of a part of me that wasn't quite ready, and what could I be ready for now? Is it being a bit more active? Is it being a bit braver? Start having clearer boundaries. What are you beginning to be ready for? And be really careful with yourself in those moments, because they're really precious times, and that it's easy to squash. When you've just got that tiny little shoot or that tiny little root, you have to be really careful with it. It's a moment to celebrate and to feel is really sacred, and not to squash.
I like that. Sacred and not squash.
No squashing.
Don't squash the sacred.
Yeah.
That's great. I think, uncertainty is something that people can feel very uncomfortable with, and I'm not necessarily that great with it. I like to physically move, but I also like to mentally move, and I like to do things. So sometimes it's like, when things are just kind of hanging, that makes me feel, I can feel myself getting a little bit uncomfortable, but it's sort of actually learning that actually it's okay to be there. And I find for myself personally, I need to try to give myself time to appreciate that I'm in that moment.
And the ending, a good ending is really important. When you're juggling, it's more important to think about the throw than the catch. And when you were talking to me about walking, you were really talking about thinking about how I break with my back foot. How do you stop before you start? And in rowing, we think about the finish. You need a really good finish before you come forward to the catch. Endings are vitally important. If you want a good beginning, you must have a good ending, and you must have a sense of purpose around that ending. And they are difficult. Endings are uncomfortable, and you might think, oh gosh, what I want to do is be a bit more active. I'm ready for that. It's hard to let go of that old self that says, no, it's safe not to go, or it's too much effort, or you'll feel upset, or you'll feel ashamed. Letting go of that and having a proper ending is the only way to have a good beginning. I feel like I've but it is, and it's really important.
Well, we could have ended our live chat at 8:30 when it didn't happen, but we didn't.
But we were determined to have a good beginning.
We sat in the uncomfortable space for quite a while trying to resolve it all.
It's so lovely to talk to you. It is the right thing to have begun these talks. There's a lot of alignment, and I think, yeah, I think it's really important to have conversations that are honest and that are relevant to where we are and that are hopeful, and really encourage people to find a bit of joy and start from where they are, start from something that's achievable. Don't ask too much of yourself. I think, you know, in time to come, we'll all look back and wonder how we did all of this, and realize that we had no idea how much we were carrying and how much we were able to do. So yes, I always say do the 1%, just the 1%.
Yeah, no, that's a really, I mean, you know, the time that we chat and stuff, I take away so many really amazing little nuggets, like, oh, that's so special, that's so special. So yeah, I'm really excited about these conversations. So we're glad that we've got the first one out despite the adversities that we had to do this evening. So Nikki, thank you so very much. We've actually got some exciting things about how we want to proceed with this, but so we would love to hear your comments. So please, wherever you're watching this, please leave us a comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts, the things that you'd like us to discuss, maybe like us to see us do. We've got lots of little thoughts that we're excited to share, but we'll keep hold of those and wait to hear what some of your comments are. But we will be back very soon with our next WalkActive Mind Talk. But in the meantime, I want to say that we need to end, so we can just have a new beginning.
Yes. Thank you so much, Joanna. It's absolutely fantastic to speak with you.
I will see you very soon. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening in. We hope you've enjoyed this, and leave us a comment below. And thank you very much. We will see you very soon. Take care. Bye-bye, everybody.